So today we're talking about the kind of dangers or the things that you should be aware of if you're going to work at a startup, if you prefer working at startups. I, for one, prefer working at startups because I think they're a little bit more flexible, and as you know, I don't want to be employee number A304, I want to be Josh. You're going to find that at startups. You're going to find a lot of flexibility, you're going to be able to wear a lot of different hats. So if you prefer startups, like me, this video is for you, or if you want to know if it's worth it to go to a startup, this video is for you. So number one, let's jump right into it. You want to ask about the Doomsday Clock first and foremost. If you don't know what a Doomsday Clock is, ask for their burn rate. A burn rate is the amount of money that they're spending every single month before they run out of money. If they don't want to tell you their burn rate, that's not good. It means a few things here. They haven't done the financial math to figure it out, which is super irresponsible, and you should probably question how they got funding from investors, because the investors are going to want to know what the company's doing with their money. And if they don't want to tell you their burn rate, does that mean they're about to run out of money? You know, in a startup, transparency is key to everything there. So considering most startups fail, like 90% of startups fail, 9 out of 10 fail. I'll put some sources for that. It's from Forbes magazine. Put that in the description if you want to verify. It's in your best interest to know how long you may or may not have a job. You know, I've seen weeks where the CEO is like, we're not going to make payroll this week. And you either accept that as okay, I'm not getting paid this week, and hopefully you got savings to cover your bills, or you don't. If you accept it, you keep working for a week with no pay, and you hit that deadline, and hopefully you get more funding, and hopefully you make payroll next week, and then you can pay your bills. Or you don't, and then you leave. So you always have to ask about a doomsday clock. The burn rate should include the cost of people's salaries, the snacks and stuff, the office rent, the utilities. If they don't have to tell you how much like each person is making and how much they're spending like dollar wise on like each little granola bar or beer Friday beer. That they don't have to itemize everything for you, but you just want to have an overall idea of the burn rate for the company. Also, a lot of these startups spend money on like team building exercises. They'll like take a trip and go somewhere, or like do like, let's rent a houseboat. That's what they did at the startup that I worked at. Or they'll buy something for the team, and just realize every time you have a company team building event like that, where do you think that money's coming from? It's probably coming out of the corporate bank account. Even if the CEO is like, well, it's coming out of my pocket. Well, where'd you get that money? Probably from the company bank account. So it's coming from the company bank account, which is also contributing to the burn rate of the company. So you want a number like, all right, this is how much I'm spending for rent. We're spending like, I think for my last company, that startup that I worked at, was like $10,000 a month just for rent, and they had $2 million in funding, and we had like 8 months of money before we would run out of money, and then hopefully like you would get another series of funding. And so we'll talk about the different kinds of fundings that startups have and things that you kind of like need to look out for. The first one is called seed money. This is just money that gets you up off the ground, just up and running, a couple $100,000 just to be able to quit your main job and kind of start doing this. It's not going to last that long. Seed money doesn't typically, it's just to like, here you go, kind of just like Y Combinator is a good place where a lot of people go to get seed money. But then it's up to you to like kind of build your idea as fast as possible and then secure like some serious funding, like a Series A, B, or C round. And that's when you get into the $1 million of funding. So like a Series A round, I think for the company that I worked at, it was about 1.5 million, and then they were going to go for a Series B when they were starting to run out of money. But your product value has to go up in the meantime. Like your evaluation from the investors has to go up. So during that first A round, you're gonna be working a lot trying to get that value, so that the company or the investors that gave you the Series A round are gonna be like, yeah, it's worth more now, so we're gonna give them more money. And in return for that money, the CEO or the founders usually give equity away. They give like a piece of the company away. And so as the founders secure more and more funding, they give equity away. So typically to get that first couple mil, because it's a huge investment for that first Series A, they'll give up a lot of stock. They'll give up a lot of equity in the company. And then as the valuation increases and more investors want in, the co-founders, the founders can hopefully reduce the amount of company that they're giving away, because they also try to give you company equity as an employee sometimes to kind of not have to pay you as much money. We'll talk about that too. But you know, as the series is increase, the amount of equity that the founders are giving out to these investors decrease. But that's how the series rounds works. You also have these people that are called angel investors, and what that means are they're just individuals, just people like you and me that just have a lot of money in the bank account and they're interested in some startup idea, and they'll just donate some money. It's not really a donation, they want their money back too, but they're not companies, they're not venture capitalist firms. Those are the people that come up with these big bucks, these venture capitalists that they go and give money to a company, and then hopefully they have a successful exit and they get their money back and a whole bunch more. But angel investors are just individuals. So a couple questions you want to ask yourself here when you go into a startup is, how feasible is the idea? Do you actually believe in it? Do you believe in the idea? Are you going to use this product? What is their plan to take the product to the market? Like, don't just buy into the hype that you read in the application just because you need a job. And then sometimes I know you just need a job, but like, you might not have a job in 2 weeks if you accept this, and the CEO might say like, oh yeah, no problem, like, we got plenty of money for you, but who actually knows unless they want to tell you the burn rate. One precautionary buzzword that I would try to avoid here would be disruptor. Anytime you see we're disrupting the industry and blah blah blah, like, it's just a buzzword for startups. Everyone is a disruptor, disrupting disruptors. That just seems to be like it's like the common jargon for all these startups. And are they really? Because a disruptor is usually something that's been done like 10 different times, and the main reason that startups fail is because there's no market need for it. Some guy had an idea and was like, oh, everyone's gonna love this, so they get all this money from all these different people, and they finally bring it to the market, and like no one wants to buy it. That's like the main reason, and I can show you that here with this little chart that I found. Top 20 reasons startups fail. There's no market need. You spend all this time, you get the product to the market, and like there's no need for it. There's no desire for it. You're supposed to verify this beforehand, so you get a minimum viable product. You'll hear this a lot in startups. You'll get a minimum viable product with MVP. You'll try to get something out to the market to see if there's any desire for it. You don't want verbal confirmation. I know this as a fact, as an entrepreneur myself. Verbal confirmation of people wanting to buy something and people actually buying something are very, very, very different. And an email survey is even less unreliable. So you want to put it out there and see if there's a market demand and if people are going to buy. Like, and if they're waiting and you're just building and building and building, and then the product goes out and there's no market demand, you're probably not going to have a job anymore. So you can see they ran out of cash, so they don't have proper control of their burn rate, and they don't have a plan to secure more funding, or they don't have a plan to increase their value and propose that to their investors to secure more funding. Not the right team. I think that's just kind of like a scapegoat, like, well, he didn't do his part. Like, I'm sure that happens, but out-competed. As you can see, there's lots of disruptors disrupting other disruptors here. Pricing and cost issues, poor product, lack of business model, poor marketing. I think poor marketing should probably go more towards the top, because you can have the best product in the world, but if you can't get it in front of people, no one's gonna even know it exists to be able to buy it. So marketing and like brand is the bottleneck to everything. You can have the most awesome video game, but if you can't get people to learn about it and hear about it, then it doesn't matter. No one's gonna play it because they're not gonna know to play it. You don't know what you don't know. The product is mistimed, they lost focus. I would say another big one is failure to pivot. This one down here, failure to pivot. What does that mean? That means when you have a product and you launch it and it doesn't go as planned, or you're building it and building it and building it, and then some other company comes out with something exactly the same as you, and you're like, okay, well, do we launch anyways and try to do it better, or do we kind of pivot and make it slightly different? So that's kind of what this channel is. I started out with programming and kind of tutorials and like vlogs and stuff, and then I pivoted over time to kind of start talking about how you should do your own business. And I did this over the time while I got jobs and got let go from jobs and all that stuff, but I still help people get jobs because I think you need to get a job and then go do it yourself. That's my motto. But so let's talk equity here. Equity is a common thing in startups. They're going to try to give you equity so they don't have to pay you as much, to hopefully not have to spend as much money, to not increase their burn rate. So if they give you 1 or 2% of the company instead of a higher salary, that they don't have to pay you as much, and it slows their burn rate, and hopefully they could last longer. But I would say for 90% of all the startups, when they give you 1% of the company, okay, number one, it's only 1% of the company, and number two, you don't get that 1% right when you sign on the dotted line and accept that job offer. You get that 1% over the course of 4 years. So you get 0.25% every year for the next 4 years to be what's called fully vested. You gotta remember, 9 out of 10 startups are gonna fail. So you are taking less money now for the next 4 years until you get that complete 1% of the company, hoping that it gets bought out or that it goes public. Only then can you cash out. You can have equity of a million different companies, and if they're all private, none of them go public, and it doesn't get acquired by other bigger companies, they have to pay you out your share, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, it's a little bit of a gamble. You're taking that like 10% chance that your equity might be worth something in a few years or in 10 years. Some companies even offer to let you buy out your equity if you choose to leave. So if you're working there for 3-4 years, you got your 1%, you're ready to move on, you're done working on this thing, you need a new challenge, new framework, whatever. You quit, and they'll be like, all right, well, if you want to keep your equity, you can buy it out, and then maybe when we go public later, you can get your share because you did put in your time and blah blah blah. Some companies offer that, and maybe it depends on whatever they want to charge for it, whatever they think 1% of the company is worth at that time could be a deal. Like, so it might cost a few $1,000s to buy out your 1% equity because the evaluation of the company is what you're gonna have to pay on probably. But that's how equity works. If it was me, I'm just gonna take more salary up front. I don't like to play that that 10% chance of winning game. That's a little bit too much of a gamble for me. I'm just gonna take more money up front, and then when I know the company is about to go public, just buy stock, right when it goes public, because usually when it goes on the market, it goes up or down. And it might have like some stipulations where you can't do that if you were a previous employee. But if it gets acquired and you don't have any stock, you lost your equity and it gets acquired, maybe you missed out on a few $1,000s, but you have a higher chance of missing out on having any dollars just because the company runs out of dollars. So that's what I do. I just take more money up front, unless they really can't give you more money up front and they're like, all right, well, do you just like want more equity then? Or you could maybe barter for more time off instead. I'm not a huge fan of the whole equity thing. Unless you really, really believe in the vision of what's going on, and you think that you have influence enough to make sure that that's going to go where it's going to go. So let's talk working conditions now with startups. I've seen startups that do the classic, like stereotypical, like Silicon Valley, like we have Nerf gun battles to reduce stress in the office space, and like that sounds fun, but why don't you just run a really tight ship so that you don't have a super stressful office life anyways? Like, 2 o'clock, all right, everyone grab your Nerf pistols, and then like you have like this, like, come on, man. For me, you guys know how I am. I do my time and then I go. And that's it. That's all you get. And I think it can be hard to separate personal life and work life working at a startup. So startups try to counter this by offering a lot of perks. Lots of perks. Bring your dog to work because we can't pay you any money. Beer Fridays because that's cheaper than paying you more salary, they offer lots and lots of perks to kind of keep you at the office. Imagine like Google and all these other big Silicon Valley companies that offer all these perks that try to keep you there. It's the same thing with startups. They just try to keep you there. You got to remember, like, the investors are breathing down the CEO's neck, and the CEO wants to get those investors paid back because the investors are like, hey, where's our money? Where are you going next? What are you doing with our money? Hey, we just gave you 30 grand. What you doing with that money? And now not all investors are like this. I'm sure there are investors that are like, we believe in your vision here. Take our money and do what you want. The investors want what's called a successful exit. And that means you go public and people buy your company, go public on the market, or you get acquired and the investors make all their money back and then they cash out their equity that they got in exchange for the money that they gave the people to get the company up and running. So you get these investors got 10, 15%, and they paid $10,000 for that up front, just to a little investment. Then they go public later, and now that same 10, 15% of the company is worth $100 million. Hey, investors just made all their money back. But it's a gamble for them too, right? They're given, for every 10 companies that they give a bunch of money to, 9 of them don't pay back. So you're banking on that 1 or 2 companies to kind of really pay you back tenfold, pretty much. It'd have to be more than tenfold because you just lost on 9 companies. But it's hard to keep your life separate when you work at a startup. I personally witnessed a lot of people bringing in their kids, they bring in their wife and their husbands, and it was really difficult for you to keep that work-life balance, because if you're part of that startup, it's easy to kind of get wrapped up into that, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna have a job, and you feel personally committed to the vision of whatever it is, and that's up to you, right? I haven't worked at a company where I've really 120% aligned with what the CEO is doing. I just needed a job. But a lot of people, when you start to feel I'm not gonna get paid unless I complete this project on time, it becomes real easy, real quick to work 15, 16 hours a day, work those Saturdays that you promised the wife you're gonna stop working so much, promise the husband I'm gonna stop working so much. I know, but we just gotta get this one final push out the door. I promise that you're gonna stop working so much, and then you just keep working. I saw people come in at 8 a.m., they leave at 9 p.m., and that was just their life. And then they would, take a break in the middle of the day and fly the little RC helicopters around the office. And I'm like, okay, everyone wants to be part of that 10% gamble, and then you have the people that don't, and I don't know, it's easy to just get too wrapped up in startups and just work your life away for it to fail. And if you prefer that, like I would still take the chance because I like the flexibility of it. Like, hey man, I'm gonna work here some, and I'm gonna work over here some, and I'm gonna work remote some, and like you keep your perks and I'll work remote instead because I don't want to be employee number. I like to have different impacts around the company, and usually there's no micromanagement, and I'm kind of I'm like anti micromanagement. Get away from me, away from my shoulder, back up. Just let me do my work. I don't want to talk about the game last night, even though you're using this as an excuse to ask me about the game, and no, I didn't watch the game. You just want to see what I'm working on, and then sometimes you'll directly, hey, what you working? Like, get away from me. You know, there's no time for micromanagement in these startups because everyone's too busy. They got to get their stuff done, and there's never enough time to get anything done, and you're always over-promising and under-delivering when it should be vice versa, right? You should under-promise and over-deliver. But in startups, it's always the former. So there's not a whole lot of micromanagement in startups, and that's why I like it. And you get to wear a lot of different hats. Like I always say, if you're gonna work at a startup, put the interest section, because everyone's got that friend that like has that family company and you like maybe manage their Facebook for a day or two. Hey, guess what? They're in need of a social media manager, but they don't really have the budget to hire someone separately. So maybe instead of working on this code thing all day, you go manage our company social media for a few hours every day. And then maybe, oh, we need a new logo, but our designer's already making this new thing for this new push for the investors that they want to see. Can you make this logo? And now you're doing this over here. And so startups let you wear a lot of different hats. And I'm a big fan of that. And if you want to go forward and kind of be an entrepreneur later in life and learn a lot of skills, startups are the way to go. You're going to learn a lot of skills. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about a lot. You're going to learn about, you know, CTOs and what they do, and CEOs and how business works, and how venture capitalists work, and how that money gets managed. And I'm like, what happens when you take $100 million from investors and then your company fails? Are you just blacklisted for life? Because it's not like a bank, right? Like they can't, I mean, can they come after you? Do they sue you for that $100 million back? Or like, if you ever have another startup idea, I guess those investors are going to tell all the other investors, like, look, I just lost a bunch of money. Don't mess with this guy. What happens? Like, those are the sorts of questions that I was always asking. I was like, how does all of this work? And kind of getting that like well-rounded, like, how do you run a business? Why do you have these people and these people and these people? If you want to be a jack of all trades, go work at a startup because they'll probably give you the opportunity to do so. Or if it's one of those startups that's just like you're working 16 hours on one thing because they overpromised and you're under-delivering. Could go that way too, but for me, it was always the former, where I got to do pretty much anything I asked to do. I was like, hey, let me do this thing. I tried it once outside of work, but it'd be cool to do it for a professional level. And they're like, yeah, sure, yeah, that's fine. Just go get it done. I think being a jack of all trades is actually really good. I'd rather be a jack of all trades than master of one. People that are a master of one thing make really good employees. But again, if you're entrepreneurial minded like me, being a jack of all trades is great because I can hire somebody. I can pay someone that extra, a couple bucks to finish that last 10% I somehow can't figure out, or I can leverage my other skills and be like, hey, I'll teach you how to do this if you just help me do this final thing over here. And now you're not missing out and you still get what you need to done. And now you have all these other skills where you can get most of what you need to done during the day. Most of the time, you don't need help from anyone because you don't need to be 100% in everything to get stuff done, because done is better than perfect in the reality. So a lot of people like start their projects over and stuff. You guys get it. Being a jack of all trades and working on a startup goes very hand in hand together. Prepare for the swerve. Prepare to work on something at a startup for a couple of months or a project for a couple of weeks and then have that project go completely out the window because the investors have changed their path, or what they want to see is going a different direction. Or the CEO was like, all right, look, we're pivoting. We're pivoting real hard. This doesn't work anymore. There's no market demand. What do we do? What do we do right now? So this actually happened to me. It was a company that would track Bluetooth addresses and MAC addresses on people's mobile devices, and they would have these hardware devices kind of pinned up around the city, and you'd walk past one and it would pick up your address, and then phones started randomizing randomly. So randomly randomizing. You'd walk past one and it'd scan your number, and then your phone would randomize, and then it would scan your number again. But now they can't use that data point. You have to have point A and point B to kind of make like, how fast were you going? Well, I mean, if you don't know if it's the same device at point A and point B because the number changed, that data goes out the window. And that's what happened at the startup that I worked at. Like, suddenly phones came out with an update where the things on the phone were randomizing. So now they couldn't get reliable data anymore, or barely any data at all. And so the investors were like, hey, no more money for you until you figure this out. And so they were running out of money. Like the Doomsday Clock was ticking down. We had a couple months left of money, and they were going to go for a Series B round. And then all of a sudden, the phones started changing the way that they do things, and now they couldn't track that data and do things with that data anymore. Now you're not getting a Series B round anymore. This is basically a useless business model now. And so they had to pivot. And so we sat in meetings on meetings on meetings to figure out what we were going to do, and they couldn't really figure out how often it was happening, or why it was happening, or what triggered it, or if it was just completely random. And when that happened, they had to squeeze the budget down. They had to be like, all right, what are we spending money on that we're no longer going to spend money on? So all these events, company and company outings, and company Food Fridays and catered meals, all that goes out the window. All the part-time people, me, go out the window. Hey Josh, we don't have a lot of money left, and we got to reduce expenses because we're not going to have any more money. So peace out. And so I got pieced out. A bunch of other people got pieced out. Like they were like, all right, we're clamping down here. We thought we were gonna have that cool company culture, but now we're not gonna have any money, and none of us are gonna have jobs, and these people over here aren't gonna have jobs anyways because we need our jobs more than they need theirs, and that's just business in a nutshell. I would still work at a startup if I had to pick between a startup and a big company. I'm gonna work at a startup because I get to do tons of different things. And you work at a big company, you're gonna be employee number blah blah blah. You might have more security unless that company gets bought out. I think job security is a myth. There's only skill security, job skill security. But you're going to be doing one thing every day at a big company. You're going to show up to work, you're going to do that one thing. You're not going to be able to move laterally probably because of 9 different levels of middle management. Or you can work at a startup. You can have that flexibility, but at the same time, you get everything else that I'm talking about here. But you'll be working a lot to hit those investor goals, to hit those project deadlines. You'll be working way more than just 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. Weekends, late nights are common. If you're a single person, you don't got the wife, kids, you don't need all those extra benefits, and you just really want to get good at getting good at whatever it is that you're doing. If you're doing the dev, if you're doing the design, if you're doing the business part of it, if you just want to work a lot and get really good at a skill or lots of different skills, startup's the place for you. There's a lot of big companies where you never get to meet the executives, you never get to meet the co-founders or the CTO, because they're just it's taboo. They're way over there. No. Like CEO and CTO and whatever, the lead devs at a startup, they're just regular people. I mean, so are so are the dudes at the corporate companies, but everyone puts them on a pedestal because the bigger the corporation gets, the more fluffy it gets, the more conservative it gets. You're going to be a tight-knit group. You're going to be working a whole lot more in a whole lot more of an intimate way than regular jobs. So let me show you what angel.co looks like a little bit, and let me talk about it just for a second here. But it's just called angel.co. You've got remote possible, mostly or fully remote. You can pick locations, you can do roles. So I'll do software engineer, I'm not a front end, and I'm big on remote, right? You'll see some that are just straight up equity, and that's not a lot of equity. It's 0.25% of the company over 4 years. You're getting nothing. And you can see their funding here. Always here, 68 million Series B, 22 million, and you can see they got more money because their evaluation went up. There's another website that you can use called Crunchbase. What Crunchbase is it lets you look up who gave them money and what amount of money. Sometimes you can see here on AngelList, and sometimes you can't. I don't know why I keep calling it AngelList. It's called angel.co now. I think they went through a rebrand because of angel investors or whatever. But this is where I found my startup job. This is where I got mine. We are disrupting the corporate training and coaching industry. Dude, I can't count on 10 different hands how many times I've seen the word disrupt or accelerate. Accelerate's another big one. Okay, so here's one. Full stack developer and co-founder. He's gonna pay you 0 to 1K, 5 to 10% equity, remote. So if you want a side gig and you want to work for equity because you believe in one of these companies, hey, come over here. If you got a startup idea, hey, come over here and post a job and get people to work for equity, and then you can side hustle on something together. If you got a good business plan and you're seriously going to be putting time into it and all that stuff, hey, come post your startup idea over here on angel.co. This is a good place to look for remote jobs too, by the way. I don't think that they show anything related to visas or not. How it works is usually you'll click on this and you'll click apply, and it'll be leave a message as to why you're interested. See, what you can do typically is I can go here, find the guy that's the CEO, whatever, CTO, this guy. Previously he worked here. I can go to his LinkedIn, and then I'm just gonna straight up not apply through AngelList. I'm just gonna figure out a way to message him directly. So I probably connect with him or message him or figure out some area. Oh, here's one, my GitHub. So he's got a GitHub, and we'll go to his GitHub. And I think you could probably find his email over here if you really wanted to. I'm sure if you look through his repos enough, you can get an idea of what his sort of technical ability is like right now. He's a CTO of a company, and it doesn't really look like he's got a whole lot going on here, except for this one where he's got a lot of forks, which could be good, I guess. AngelList is a pretty decent spot to look for jobs for startups. After all, it is where I found mine. Hopefully this video has been super insightful. If it has, maybe share the video with someone. Maybe leave a like, maybe leave a subscribe, but leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Help me get back into that algorithm because I fell out of it. I'm just trying to provide straight up value to you guys, and this one trying to cut straight to the point, no BS here. I'll see you guys in the next one.